Sawadee Hello everybody, welcome to this week's virtual class. My name is Puchoy Lawrence. We're going to be covering just some basics on straight punch defenses. But first and foremost, I want to take some time today to talk about zones. When I'm talking about zones, I'm talking about the distance between you and your opponent. When I understand what zone I'm currently standing in, that'll help me build and develop combinations or strategies to get in and land much more effective shots on my opponent instead of having ineffective strikes or being countered. If you have any tape or any objects that you can put down as a marker, I strongly suggest you do so and follow along with the video just so you have a good visual representation on what I'm talking about. Where I'm currently standing, I call that Zone 4. I want to be out here when I'm catching my breath or when I'm formulating what types of combos that I want to attack with. From this distance, I can't reach my opponent and my opponent cannot reach me. If I take a half step forward, I'm now in striking range with my long ranged weapons, such as my straight punches or my kicks. I would call this Zone 3. I would stay away from anything like a hook or an uppercut from this position because I'd have to reach and likely I would miss or get countered. If you have a look at Sue, she is a little bit shorter than I am, so she's trying to extend out for her cross, and she's not making any contact on that delivery, which means that she is not yet in her Zone 3, but I'm in my Zone 3. So, if you're sparring or fighting somebody who is a little bit shorter, use that to your advantage. Keep them where you can hit them, but where they can't hit you. If I take a half a step forward, I'm now entering into Zone 2. If you take a look, I'm trying to throw straight punches, but those punches end up getting jammed up because I'm way too close to my opponent. Instead, in Zone 2, I'm going to be sticking to shots such as uppercuts, hooks, body strikes, or knees to the body. Again, if I'm choosing to maybe throw some elbows, again, I'm a little bit too far from my opponent and nothing is going to land as effective as if I moved into Zone 1. And just for demonstration purposes, Sue's just throwing a wide range of attacks, so you can take a look at what would work and what would not work in this zone. Moving right along, if I take another step forward, now I'm into Zone 1. Here I can throw devastating elbows from all directions. Again, in Muay Thai we do have clinching available, so this is where I'd be going for those clinch positions, driving those knees right in. I'm going to go ahead and finish off here by showing some strikes that would and would not work from this range. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into today's lesson with some straight punch defenses. This is a very quick block that you can use because your hands are already up, and this just prevents your opponent from getting any straight punches right down the pipe. From this angle, I'm not just putting my hands up, but I'm leaning into that punch. I'm trying to force my opponent to throw in a Zone 2 area and thus choking up on the power of their punches. If your partner has really good punches, you can see if I just simply posture up and she drives forward with that strike, that shifts my upper body backwards and I lose a lot of balance in offense. Instead, by pushing forward, I'm causing my opponent to choke up on that punch, reducing that power while allowing me to be based and ready to throw a counter in the opposite direction. Having a look from this angle, I'm bringing my hands up, my fists are going to be touching my forehead, but I'm also bringing my shoulders up to protect my chin in case my opponent is going to throw a follow-up hook. With my body weight, it's just a slight shift forward, my back leg should essentially be posted out straight. Taking a look from the front, I'm bringing my elbows in to protect that lane in case my opponent is coming up for an uppercut. Next to that, I'm making sure that there is a gap that I can see through my gloves so that I can keep eyes on my opponent at all times. Okay, let's go ahead and practice this. I'm going to be throwing 10 jabs, 10 crosses. Have a look at my shoulders, that helps to dictate my moves. I want your hands up by your cheek at all times. At the last second, you're going to snap your hands up and press your knuckles into your forehead, tucking your chin, preparing for that impact. As we go through this practice, I want you to try and stay loose. Keep your head and your neck and your shoulders nice and relaxed. Keep your arms up. When you see that punch coming up, snap those hands up to your face, keeping those elbows in. Make sure that we block that lane in case it happens to be an uppercut, and bringing those hands down to reset in front of your face each time. Make sure when you're snapping up that double block that you can still see me through the hole in between your forearms. We don't want to close that gap. I want to keep eyes on my opponent at all times. And time. Excellent job. Okay, next we're going to do a little bit of a drill. Same thing, all I want you to do is worry about that double block first, but I'm going to mix up my jabs and my crosses. Your job is to try to anticipate which hand it's going to be and bringing those hands up, snapping out that block. Let's go. And going forward, don't sweat too much if you happen to mess up the timing just a little bit. You have plenty of time to practice this as we go. Keep it up. And time. Let's go ahead and add some counters with that double block. So remember, my opponent would be throwing this punch when we are in about that zone 3 area. So I'm going to send counters that are representative of being in that zone. In this case, just work with straight punches. If you're blue short, you're more than welcome to add push kicks or roundhouse kicks as a counter. If you've been working these Muay Thai videos with me, you know I spent a lot of time focusing on weight shift and balance. And again, if we happen to shift our body weight forward, we're choking up on our opponent's punch, but all I need to do is just snap my shoulders and my hip out, and I'm already shifted forward to deliver that strike. You can really notice it as I deliver that cross. In this next drill, I want you to try to counter by mirroring the same punch that I throw at you. So if I throw my left, you're going to counter with your right, and vice versa. Main reason being is that if I am slow to bring my hands back up to my face, by the time you extend and counter, you might happen to catch me sleeping and beat me back to my face with your counter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw 10 jabs and 10 crosses. You're going to go ahead and go for a double block with a counter. So again, focus on your weight shift, and when you counter, you should be countering with your right hand, which is mirroring my left punch right now. Try to snap it out. Try to beat me back to my face with your counter. Same thing on the other side. You should be countering with your left hand. And time. Okay, let's mix up those punches now. You're still going to give me a double block and a counter. Remember, we're going to be sticking to those zone 3 strikes. Those straight punches for you yellow shorts, push kicks, and roundhouse kicks are permitted for those blue shorts. And time. Next up, we have passing. Passing a punch is an excellent alternative, especially if your partner has really strong punches. Double blocks isn't going to cut it. Essentially, all I'm doing, I'm mirroring my opponent's punch, and I'm redirecting that fist away from my face, just using a small action. You can think of your fist and your forearm like a giant windshield wiper. When I'm going for this motion, again, I'm avoiding any type of large cat pawing motion because that opens up my face for counters. Instead, I'm keeping my shoulder and my elbow on a hinge, bringing my shoulder up to help me protect my chin. Meanwhile, my other hand is up to protect my face. Last tip, just think of it like you're cupping a bowl in your hand and you're using that cup to just redirect your opponent's wrist or fist. Let's go ahead and practice our passing. I'm going to be throwing 10 jabs, 10 crosses. You're going to be mirroring the punch that I throw with your counter each time. Stay away from any big cat pawing motions and exposing your face. Let's go. And time. Let's go ahead and mix up our striking now. Remember, keep your chin tucked, hands up, passing, paying attention to what hand is coming your way. Let's go. As you're practicing, don't worry if you make a mistake. Again, shrug it off and get your head back in the game. And time. Okay, time to work in some counters to that pass. So from here, two major options that I like. I can either pass and skip over that hand and deliver a straight punch, or I can pass that punch and come right up over the top by looping around almost like a big haymaker punch, catching the outside of my opponent's head. In either case, as soon as I pass and redirect that hand, I'm immediately going to be sending my counter right away, whether that be that straight or that haymaker. Try to catch them before they bring that hand back to their face. Taking a look from this angle, remember I'm going to be mirroring my opponent's strike, and think of that passing hand almost like a skipping stone on water. As soon as I pass, right away delivering that punch, either that straight punch or that loopy hook coming up over the top. Again, even when I'm here, I'm making sure that I'm transferring my body weight forward so that I can reach and land my strike on target while being in zone 3. Let's go ahead and practice our pass with counters. So same thing, I'm going to be sending 10 jabs, 10 crosses. You're going to pass and counter with the corresponding hand. Let's go. And time. Let's go ahead and practice this with some random jabs and crosses. Keep your eyes open, make the corresponding defense. Let's go. And time. Time to move on to slipping. When I slip a punch, all I'm essentially doing is moving my head and upper body to the outside of my attacker's punching arm. In this training scenario, imagine that you're bringing your left shoulder to your right knee. You're going to load your body weight on that back leg, and you're moving your head on the outside of the attacker's arm. Same thing on the other side, but just mirrored. Again, I want to make sure that I get to the back side of my opponent, and that way I reduce the opportunity for them to counter me when I make that slip. So we have two main options when we're slipping. First one, we're staying in zone 3. Again, if you take a look at my shoulder, I'm trying to bring that to my opposite leg. Remember, imagining that punch coming in, and I'm just getting my head off of that line of fire. And if you want, you can bring your one hand up just to give you a little bit of added protection in case you mistime that, just so you can keep your face protected. It's important to note when I'm slipping, I'm using my shoulders. I'm not just moving my head side to side, but instead it's a full body motion to the left and to the right. Another option that we have for a slip is that we can slip forward and onto a diagonal, getting ourselves into zone 2, where we can open up for a great body shot. If I am slipping my opponent's left punch and I am in orthodox stance, all I simply have to do is take a step forward and on a diagonal to the right with my right leg. By doing this, this allows me to get up close and personal with my opponent. My body weight is already shifted, and I can just torque out that body shot using my hips. If I wanted to slip my opponent's right punch, I'm going to step forward and on a diagonal towards the left, putting me into zone 2. From there, it's just a simple torque of my hips and my shoulders to deliver that body hook. It's important to shuffle step with both feet, because if I just step with my left leg and I try to extend for that body hook, my face is completely exposed and I really don't have a whole lot of power to deliver that body hook. Okay, we're going to move on to our practice now. So from here, I'm going to throw either 10 jabs or 10 crosses. Your job is just to simply slip. Don't worry about counters. Again, you can choose to stay in zone 3 or step forward into zone 2. Let's go. Remember, try to slip to the outside. You want to see my back. And if you're choosing to shuffle step or step into zone 2, make sure that we're loading up our body weight on the corresponding legs. Same thing as the last time. Now we're going to mix it up with our jabs and crosses. You're going to slip to the corresponding side. And time. From here, we're going to add in some counters to our slips. When we slip, again, you should notice that your body weight is shifted to a particular side. When you're ready to let it go, all you're going to do is you're going to follow through with that momentum and execute a big loopy hook or a haymaker right to the head or to the body. If you take a look at my body posture, I'm upright, so by the time I execute that slip and I'm ready to counter, I can just let that hook go without having to bring my head back to center. When I'm going for that hook to that body, I'm not just simply extending my arm. From here, I'm essentially keeping that hooking arm straight, but using my hips and my shoulders to snap up and get extra power on that punch. When you're doing this in practice, I want you to focus primarily on that quick weight shift from the back to the front or the front to the back while snapping out those punches. Make sure you try not to fight your body momentum. Once when you snap that hip forward, continue to let it go and release it, getting all of that extra juicy power in on that strike. Let's go ahead and put this into practice. So from here, I'm going to send 10 jabs, 10 crosses. You're going to be working your slipping with a counter. You can either choose to stay in zone 3 or step forward into zone 2. Let's go. Make sure if we're stepping into that zone 2, our chin is tucked to protect our head. The one hand that's closest to the opponent is going to be up. Torque that power up using your hips and your shoulders. And time. Let's do the same thing, but now a little bit of a random pattern, slipping with counters. And time. Okay, last skill we're going to learn today is called evading. Essentially all I'm doing is I'm snapping my head, my chin, and my shoulders back slightly just to get out of the striking range of my opponent. Remember, if my opponent is trying to throw a straight punch, normally that means they're trying to throw that from that zone 3 position. If I just move my head back slightly, that puts me out of their strike zone. When I shift that body weight back, I want to be mindful not to move my center of mass behind my feet. From there, my opponent can continue to throw long-range weapons, and I won't be able to defend it because I have no balance. Try to keep your center of gravity above your legs, that way you're ready for whatever happens to be coming up next. From this angle, I'm snapping my heel down to the ground. That allows me to get planted and set up a base. From there, my head, my shoulders just snap back slightly just to get out of the range of that strike, and then from there, I can transfer my body weight forward. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our evading. From there, just 10 jabs, 10 crosses. All you're going to do is snap that head and shoulders back. Let's go. Remember, keep that chin tucked, snap that head and shoulders back, and reposition yourself right away. And time. Let's go ahead and add in some random jabs and crosses. Let's go. And time. Time to add a counter with our evade. So from there, after I move my head and shoulders back, you're going to bounce off that back leg, shift your body weight to that front leg, and then extend out with a nice jab or a cross. Remember, it's a nice snappy movement, pushing your body weight forward, trying to beat your opponent right back to their face before their hands get there. Weight shift and balance is extremely important here. As soon as I snap up from that evade, I'm immediately extending that hand forward, transferring my body weight forward. Remember, I want to keep my upper body nice and straight. If I evade and I move my head and shoulders back and I try to punch from here, I have no balance or offense to bring the fight the other way. Post up, shift that body weight forward. Let's go ahead and move on to our practice. I know you're going to miss seeing my face after this drill, but when we're here, 10 jabs, 10 crosses, evade and counter. Let's go. And time. Time to mix up our jabs and crosses. Let's go. And time. So we're going to finish off this virtual class with 2 reaction drills. First one, I'm going to send 1 strike. You're going to go with 1 block, followed up with 1 counter. Blue shorts, you're more than welcome to go with 2 or more. Utilize any of the defenses that we've learned so far today: double block, passing, slipping, or evading. Focus on your balance and your weight transition. After each strike, make sure you reset back to your center point. Listen to the round music and just enjoy the drill. Ready, let's go. Remember, if you happen to mess up at any point in this drill, don't sweat it, come back, keep on fighting. Focus on my shoulders, try to anticipate what strike is coming up next. And time. Okay, I'm going to be sending a series of 2 punches. You're going to go for 2 blocks with a counter, followed up with a sprawl. Blue shorts, you're more than welcome to do 2 or 3 hit counters. If you happen to miss a rep in between, no big problem. Now the tricky part is using a combination of any of the 2 blocks that we've covered today. Just be careful, I'm going to switch up the timing of the strikes in this next drill just a little bit. Let's go. And time. Excellent job. What you're going to do now is you're going to start this video from the beginning, but you're going to work in your opposite stance. And we always want to practice and make sure that we can do it in orthodox and southpaw. If you have a good understanding of the fundamentals, you can just reset to the practice sessions and the drill portions of each defense. Let's finish off today with a burnout drill. We're going to do 30 straight punches, 30 hooks, 30 uppercuts, all from passive stance. Let's go. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, 10, 20, 30. On to hooks. Focus on that power. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Last one. Last one. Uppercuts. Ready, ready. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nung, nung, song, song, sam, sam, say, ha, ha, hop, hop, jet, jet, bat, bat, gao, gao, sip, sip. Excellent job. We'll finish up with part 2 next week. Sawadee ka up.